Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
What's happening, guys?
Before we get into the episode, we want to help you out.
In case you didn't know, when we're not gobbing off in Eddie's bar, we're actually online coaches.
We are indeed, and as a former Royal Marines commando, Harry spends his time helping people physically prepare for life in the military, and I can guarantee he'll get you through any arduous course you can throw at him. Isn't that right, Shep?
Bang on, Rex. And if you're tired of looking and feeling like shit, then let Eddie help you take back control of your life. He used to be a fat sack, and now he looks like a Greek god. That could be you.
If you want to transform how you look, perform, and feel, then get in contact with us.
The link will be in the description.
Alright guys, and welcome to the 32nd episode of Below the Bar.
In this episode, expect to find out why you shouldn't stop training when you pick up an injury, how the type of content you consume on social media ends up defining your character,
and what you can learn about consistency from the bloke running the entire length of Africa.
Let's get into it.
Back in for another kind of, well, let's face it, cuffed episode of the Brummie Brothers podcast.
Yeah, this one's not prepared for. However, you shouldn't be able to tell because we're naturals by now. It's like 41 episodes in, so we're basically experts.
Yeah, so basically, we had originally planned for more guest episodes over the Christmas period, but because we've been so busy, that basically hasn't come to fruition, has it?
Yeah, there should be some after Christmas, like immediately after Christmas, before we go to Texas, but there was supposed to be some in this little interim period here. However, because of various projects and shit, we haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, so you're listening to this now, the day after we've recorded this, so there's no kind of backlog. This is pretty much, you're hearing this as we record it effectively.
This is live.
And it's live.
Live from the Blarney Stone.
Yeah, nice little Partridge reference there. Yeah, so basically, you can expect some guest episodes before New Year's, ideally, or kind of in the New Year period, but they'll be post-Christmas Day.
Yeah, they will be post-Christmas Day. I think, but again, like we said last time, when you're in that little interim period, you need some little podcast recommendations, don't you? Because, like, effectively, it's dead time, innit?
Yeah, it is dead
So
time. And a lot
get
of
it on your TV with our guest episodes, mate, and fucking sit your family down.
And a lot of the podcast big hitters out there unleash all of their Christmas shit now, pre-Christmas. So hopefully we can get a bit of a tailwind and
into the new year
and capitalise on the nether zone.
Yeah, into 2024.
But yeah, there's a little bit of housekeeping, just so you know where we're at as a podcast. Like to keep the podcast family up to date.
Yeah, let's keep you up to date with all the updates. But effectively, we've got our usual structure now. So we haven't done it for a few weeks, really, have we? So helmet of the week, main body, and then the last sort of segments. So we'll go through helmet of the week first.
Helmet of the week. Yeah, so a bit of a different helmet of the week this week because, I mean, in the past we've called out concepts and ideas and things, but we are really honing in on one certain individual today. Yeah, because he needs airtime.
He's got enough airtime.
Well,
he needs negative airtime.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. The irony of this is we're trying to say he needs less airtime
and giving him airtime in the process.
Yeah,
that's good, isn't it?
So this week's helmet of the week is a gentleman who goes by the name as Bevo, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen him before. I hadn't really heard of his name until about 5 minutes ago. So if you're not aware of this individual, he's what's the best way to describe him?
So he's basically a very chava TikToker whose whole kind of premise is that he'll scran food live on TikTok, or he'll just do it as a TikTok. But his whole thing is that he doesn't chew food properly. So he'll chew like an entire roast potato twice and then swallow it. But like, you can see he's in pain when he's swallowing it. And obviously, anyone that knows anything about digestion knows that you shouldn't only chew something in your mouth twice before swallowing it.
Yeah, because then you're not absorbing any of the fucking nutritional value.
Exactly. And this bloke clearly kind of, I mean, I don't know whether he does it deliberately just because he's a bit dim, or like he actually has kind of got some like genetic kind of issues around like mouth breathing. But he is a mouth breather, and I don't mean that as an insult. As I mean, like, he does mouth breathe. You can tell by like his facial structure, it's off. Yeah,
well, a lot of people do. Just by virtue of not being aware of how detrimental it is, I think. But probably because of how he scrans his food and stuff, is because if you don't chew as well, your jaw gets no exercise.
Yeah, so he's
And
fallen.
so he's literally getting nothing.
Yeah, and we're not calling him out because he's a mouth breather, because obviously if he can't do anything about that or he's not aware of it, then that's a bit peak. What the underlying issue here is that this bloke is making a lot of coin from effectively just putting dross out into the ether.
Yeah, and this goes for like a whole systemic issue with people doing the same sort of thing. Basically, just going down the line of destructive content, like as in destroying yourself, basically like making yourself fat or doing whatever to elicit views and then get paid by an algorithm that will then facilitate this lifestyle and then push you further down the road. And we've covered this a little bit in the past with the TikTok creator fund coming out, haven't we?
Yeah, so we touched on this with the TikTok creator fund. We touched on it with the whole concept of the mukbang in the obesity epidemic episode. Like this whole, like you said, kind of self-destructive habits that are now kind of being monetized and promoted by the algorithm need to stop.
Yeah, because despite what light it's in terms of like if it's like they say no publicity is bad publicity, do they? So even if you see it and think fucking hell that's disgusting, you're still going to be like thinking about that thing more than you would have already think. It's like the law of attraction. The more you see it, the more you're going to want to fucking do it.
Like it's just net negative overall, because like he's obviously worse off because he's going to end up with fucking obesity or whatever, and all the food he's scranning is shit as well. So he's just eating basically a diet of ultra processed food.
Yeah.
As a content consumer, you're no better off because you've gained absolutely fuck all from this video.
Yeah.
Like literally nothing, because he's not articulate, so he's not like an actual food reviewer.
No, and you're not, like I say, if it's shit food, the more you see that shit food, the more you're going to want that shit food, because that's just how the brain works. And the same, obviously, there's another guy who like downs stuff for TikTok, like anything. He's got a fucking mental gag reflex, to be fair. Like he'll do like a full litre bottle of Diet Coke and just it's gone in like a second. But that is fucking terrible, because you only watch that and go, oh, I want a Diet Coke now. But like that's bollocks, isn't it? You can't be doing that.
And it's like, and like you said, like subconsciously these things do kind of seep into your mind, so you do end up wanting them.
No, you 100%. That's what advertising is. It's just like
Subliminal.
subconscious, subliminal messaging. Yeah. And so it is like without meaning to, they're pushing this agenda, even though they're probably not aware of it. But the thing that is probably at fault for this is the actual platforms themselves. Like in terms of encouraging these things, because the more they get paid for it, obviously the more they're going to do it.
Yeah, so this Bevo gentleman, I mean, he's an Arsenal fan as well.
Oh,
there's a major transgression there, which that's a whole separate issue.
Yeah, he's not a friend of the podcast.
Not a friend of the podcast. So he's a bit of a scapegoat in many respects, because the actual underlying issue here probably stands more with the platforms themselves, which we have touched on in the past. But he's merely an exemplification of kind of like the worst aspects of what we're on about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think again, it's probably not ultimately his fault, because he's like a symptom of the problem, really. But like we obviously live partially on social media as part of our job and all that kind of thing. We've seen firsthand that sometimes you put loads of effort into something, you'll think it's super valuable, whatever, and it'll do fucking terribly. No one gives a shit.
But like,
versus sometimes you can put something a bit shit out there, and it'll do fucking really well. So it's a really weird thing. If you get too tied into the identity of your fucking thing doing really well, then you would just chase these bad, or not bad, but like invaluable piece of content and put them up.
So like our whole shtick on social media is that we try and provide value to people.
Yeah.
Because I think that's when social media is done well. So it's quite jarring as a creator to see these people who have clearly parked the educational aspect of their content at the wayside and have just gone full kind of like, views, monetization.
It's kind of, they've gone full entertainment, but it's not really. It's almost like the jester thing, isn't it? Like it is entertainment, but it's entertainment at their expense.
Well, it's the modern day freak show.
Yeah, it's
so
not
like one's benefiting from it, because it's not like you're consuming like the content of a world class comedian.
That's what I was about to say.
Who's kind of like mastered their craft.
Yeah.
You're kind of watching someone effective. Look, you're watching the demise of an individual.
Yeah, slowly over time.
It's horrible if you kind of unpack it.
Yeah,
like it's watching someone die really slowly.
Like every single day posting about that. And the thing is, like you say, it's not like a comedian where there's a skill, a talent, a work ethic involved, all that kind of thing, where they've put all these hours and stuff in. Now they've perfected their craft. Now they're good, and now you can consume their content and be entertained. It's like they just fucking show up, do something that you're not prepared to do because it's destructive, and so all of a sudden it becomes quite attractive to watch. Which is just like it's like rubbernecking on the motorway, and it's like
it is,
when you see a car crash, you don't want to look at it, but you can't look away once you've looked.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but it's not like I don't think it's net positive, and like you say, you don't get anything from it. When you scroll past that, you're not in a fucking better place. Like sometimes, to be fair, TikTok is a bit shit, right? But sometimes I watch a TikTok and I'm like, oh fucking, I've learned something there, or I've I can view something a bit differently. I've got a different frame. So it all depends on your algorithm really and how you've curated that, because it is self-curated really. It's like the more you watch, the more you get. Like that North Sea for
yeah, we've fallen into a bit of a North Sea kind of oil rig echo chamber at the moment.
I covered this on my webinar actually with the one-to-one. So I was talking about how you shouldn't be scrolling through TikTok before bed because it can put you in a high cortisol state. And I was like, actually, I've just been falling into this North Sea thing.
The best example of that, you probably will have seen them if you frequent TikTok. You'll recognise it because it's the sound yo ho.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then there'll be a video of a shipping container absolutely fucking like fuck it in like the middle of the ocean, like all the containers are just off the side.
Yeah, well, it's like so many variations.
Some bloke welding on some shaky platform at the bottom of an oil rig, like, and it's like
the darkness of the North Sea just washes over him, and then you can't see him for about 10 seconds, and he all of a sudden reappears. It's gopping to watch, but again, same as a car crash, I will always watch them, and then the more I watch it, the more I'm fed it, and I know that. But I mean, it's almost entertaining as well, so I quite like it. But anyway, that's kind of that's our 2 cents on that. I don't know what the answer is to that, because it's like
I don't think we have an answer. I think that's just our observation. I don't think I possess the relevant knowledge to provide an answer at the moment. I wish I could, but I don't think I have. Yeah, other than people have agency themselves. So, like you said, you basically curate your own algorithm.
Yeah, it's effectively in this day and age certainly your mental diet. So you have a normal food diet, don't you, where shit you eat makes you feel a certain way. Same as a media diet, right, where the shit you consume makes you feel a certain way. So if you follow people and individuals that inspire you, that fucking make you feel good, whatever, then that's good. If you follow people because maybe it's like Molly Mays of this world, where they just plaster all this like designer stuff, all their lifestyle, where it just makes you feel jealous and envious. That's not kind of
conducive to positive mental health.
No, it isn't. And like, it's actually useful sometimes to take stock of your For You page almost, or your following. Certainly on Instagram, because you don't get as much of the explore stuff. Like, who do you follow? Do they make you feel good, or do they make you feel bad? Because people don't think about that too much, and they just passively consume it.
I'm a big advocate of that, actually, doing a little social media platform audit every now and again, because you need to check in with the people that you follow instead of kind of like passively consuming and being like, is this still relevant to me? Yeah. Do I still value the content that they're providing to me?
Am I still getting something from this? Like, I've been fucking smashing Rory Sutherland content recently. Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
One of the OGs. If you're not tuned into Rory Sutherland, then
yeah, the one thing I say as like a intro into Rory Sutherland, because it's quite low investment, go and watch his second TED Talk, because it's basically all of his like top hits, right? Yeah. But it's in like a 17-minute period. So it's like, fantastic.
Go watch his TED Talks first, then go and listen to his Stephen Bartlett Diary of a CEO podcast. Correct, yeah. And then when you're fully invested, read his book Alchemy.
Yeah, see, that's like the sales funnel.
The Rory, there you go, Rory. We've given you sales funnel there. That is the Rory Sutherland sales funnel.
He'll like that. We'll click that up and tag him. He hasn't got Instagram, but we would tag. Anyway, so helmet of the week is. What are you going to call it? Him or the fucking algorithms again?
The bevoification of TikTok.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Okay. And what you can take from that, listeners, is do an audit of your social media, because it's obviously something we spend hours and hours on a day, so we should fucking try and control for what we're consuming.
Yeah. Lovely. Right, so that now leads us nicely into what is kind of a bit of a Q&A myth-busting episode of the Brummy Brothers. We've done these before. They're quite useful for people, because I feel like we have to signpost people to a lot of these answers on our own social media platforms anyway. So we can kind of
create... There's clearly a market for it.
We can create a common space where we're discussing it together. Yeah, because then you get 2 for 1.
And also you get that in a long form. So like, a lot of times when it's asked on social media, it'll be like a one-shot story reply or whatever it is. So like that's like 10 seconds or even just a bit of text. At least we can discuss it long form and cover any nuance that's involved.
Yes, we've got a bit of nuance here. So we'll start off nice and easy. So this is what asked me the other day, but I thought I'd bring it into this.
Yep.
Thoughts on the world's hardest geezer?
Okay, so you don't know who he is. He's covering the length of Africa on foot, which is fucking insane. So what's his actual name? Russ.
Yeah, so
Cook?
his name's Russ Cook, not to be confused with Norman Cook, who is Fatboy Slim. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
two very different individuals there.
So as Shep just said, this guy wants to be the first person to basically run the entire length of Africa south to north.
There's a reason he's the first person as well, because it's fucking ridiculous.
And this, I know I'm a bit aggrieved by this, not just because he's ginger, but this bloke deserves more attention than he's getting. Because what he's doing when you break it down, he's fucking mental.
It's ridiculous. He's been robbed at gunpoint like once or twice. He's been like fucking gone down with mental illnesses like really, really commonly. He's covering like 40 miles a day.
Yeah,
consistently.
He's consistently running ultra marathons daily.
Yeah. So like he'll like a down day for him, because I follow him on Strava, so you can see everything. Like the down days are like 18, 20 miles, which for normal people is fucking insane. And so like. He's doing that daily, and he has been all year, right?
Yeah, and
when
he's
did he start?
January, I think.
Yeah, so he's not even fucking halfway there, is he?
No, so the idea was originally, I think, that he gets to Tunisia by the following January, so like next month. But I think, as you said, because he's encountered so many problems, it'll probably be a bit later than that now.
Is that the end point?
I think so, yeah. So he started in South Africa or whatever, and I think he's making his way up kind of like the west coast of Africa.
Yeah, and through obviously dangerous places as well. They're not like, he's not running through fucking Kent.
Well, that's what I mean. He's not running on like a Gucci running track in the home counties in the UK. He's literally running through like African jungle.
Yeah, and so I would highly recommend you follow him. So we're talking about like auditing your social media and following people that make you feel good. He will, that sort of content is what I'm talking about, because you can very easily feel, I don't know, not motivated or not, whatever. And then you see him getting up for the 300th day in a row to run 40 miles. It's like, I probably haven't got much to complain about.
He's riddled with like, I don't know, tendonitis, like piriformis.
Yeah, but you can imagine.
Plantar fasciitis, you name it, he's probably got it, and he's riddled with it, and he's still cracking an ultramarathon every day.
And his pace isn't even bad. Like his pace is about like 10 to 13 minute miles, and he probably just leaves it running. So when he's stopping and stuff, so like his pace isn't terrible. He's still actually running. So like we were putting him like 35 miles a week in our top weeks in marathon prep, right? He's doing that every day. We were encountering some issues in terms of like little impact injuries, like shins were hurting, all that kind of stuff. That's on his daily thing, and we were doing that per week. So think about the accumulative effect of like thousands of miles. He would have just accommodated the stress now, like 300 days in, he won't even really feel it. But the initial build up to that would have been fucking terrible.
It's mental, and like he's raised a shitload of money for charity, which is great. But I actually think he should have raised more, and that's not his fault. I think people should be getting behind him more.
I think so. Yeah, it's difficult with challenges, right?
It's almost right. It's so mental. I think people can't quite grasp how mental it is.
So like, there's always that. So the difficult thing with challenges is making them relatable to normal people. Because like a marathon, people can get aboard that, you know how far that is, know how long it normally takes, that kind of thing. So they can like box off how hard it is. Like doing that is just completely absurd. So unless you've ran any sort of distance before, like long, unless you've done something like that yourself, you don't have any sort of gauge for how hard that is.
Yeah,
and so it's hard to identify with actually how much you should put in terms of like sponsorships and shit.
And also, right, because if you look at a map, obviously Africa looks big, but a map isn't an accurate projection of how big something actually is in reality.
No.
Because it's hard to kind of imprint something that's 3-dimensional on a 2-dimensional surface.
Also, you're not going as the crow flies, are you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you actually look at this, I think it's called the Peters map, which is kind of a more accurate representation. Yeah. If you actually look how big Africa is and the route he's running, he's fucking mental.
Well, the thing is, the mad thing, he's done a few like...
he's had to do a little detour, hasn't he, here and there?
Well, also he's done some kind of graphic stuff about how he's like journey from in sort of February, how long he's got, and it's like thousands of miles, and you see the actual imprint on the map, and it's like fucking an inch or something. It's like, what the fuck? Like, imagine how demoralising that is every day to put in 40 miles and know that that's literally a drop in the ocean. It's the the kind of exemplification ultimately of like compound interest, isn't it? Like, you know that what you've done today is pretty much fuck all, but doing that every day for 300 days is actually probably going to get you somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's fucking mad considering. Like, he will be fucked now for months. So Ross Edgley did something similar in terms of he swam the perimeter of the UK.
Which
A
again,
couple of years ago, again, he's fucking ridiculous.
I don't think that gets the recognition
No,
it deserves
not at all.
either.
Like, if you, again, another little recommendation for you is his Joe Rogan episode, which kind of depicts this quite well.
And watch the actual YouTube series that he did on it as well.
Yeah,
he
true,
did a
yeah.
vlog series, like chronicling
with
each.
Red Bull.
Yeah, chronicling each day as he swam around the UK.
And that's
worth
crazy.
a watch.
But like, so my point there is he's like had to build himself up to walk again because he basically didn't walk for 6 months, right? That was 6 months, and his shoulders were fucked and all that because of so much swimming. Bear in mind though, that's zero impact, so it's kind of more doable, right? He's spending like 8 to 10 hours. Harley Skeezer spent 8 to 10 hours on his feet every day for fucking like for twice that length of time.
The only thing
It's insane.
The only thing I can really compare it to, and I think is comparable, is Ned Brockman,
Yeah, true.
who ran across
Australia.
the entire length of Australia from west to east, I think.
Even that's not even.
And that
Anywhere
is
near.
that is mental, and that fucked his body up big time. And that, even in comparison to what Russ Cook is doing, it kind of pales into insignificance.
Oh yeah, I know, and it's just crazy. Like, now we're getting into, the more almost gentrified the world gets, the more of these crazy challenges are feasible because of like medical interventions and sports science and all that kind of stuff. And so it's only going to get crazier, isn't it? Like, people are going to be like, "Oh, so you did Africa? Yeah, well, cool. I'm going to do like, I don't know, something mental."
Yeah, it's
you
just,
can't even do anything more mental, but it
It's
will just
mental.
grow arms and legs.
yeah.
And it's quite interesting to see the capability of the human body just imprinted onto Africa, onto a map.
Well,
It's insane.
Speaking of sports science, our friend, the world's hardest geezer, is wearing red on socks.
Indeed, he is. Yeah. So we had a fairly well-performing reel last week, if you go on our Instagram, of Mike talking about the origin story of red on socks and the fact that you're not supposed to get blisters in them and all that kind of stuff. They were seeing Hardest Geezer complain about blisters for ages, and they DM'd they got like all of their followers or whatever to DM him saying, "Fucking get these socks." And he was like, "Fine." Eventually, so they've sent him hundreds of pairs, I can only assume.
And they are now the socks that he runs in. So, if you've heard us gobbing off about red on socks and think, "Yeah, well, what's the hype about?" They're mates with Mike Chadwick. They're going to promote it.
Yeah.
If the bloke running the entire length of Africa has chosen red on socks as the socks that he's going to wear and do all of those horrible miles in, then ask yourself the question: I should probably be doing my little 10k bimble in them.
Yeah, exactly. So take it from the man himself, fucking Russ Cook, putting in thousands of miles a month. They're probably the socks for you.
Exactly, and they're
Yeah.
starting now to seep into like big time
Pro football, yeah.
big time professional sport as well. So a lot of the Sheffield United players are wearing them now as well.
Yeah, and Scarborough, but I mean, they're not very
Scarborough,
very good, so-
people like Gary McNamara support Scarborough. So
Yeah.
you can look
You
too
can
much
look-
into
you can look
that.
far too
He-
much
He's
into
got
that.
terrible ball knowledge, as you'd find out from that five-a-side little
Segment.
little icebreaker that we did at the start of his
Yeah.
episode. But yeah, so world's hardest geezer, absolute mentalist, and if you're not on him already, go and check him out.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've covered that. Obviously, in terms of what you think of him, admiration.
Yeah, and also I can't wait. So I know, barring something kind of tragic happening now, like he will persist and do it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see kind of like the media coverage he gets when he does do it,
Yeah.
because he's going to be like a household name.
Well, there's got to be a documentary there.
He could be theoretically like the next Bear Grylls.
Yeah, he will. He'll be on all the shows. Like, when he completes that, that'll send him into the stratosphere.
Imagine
that.
being the guy that ran the length of Africa.
Yeah, it's insane. Well, Ross Edgley, like you say, didn't get enough credit really for what he did.
No.
So I don't think these kind of challenges actually do get that much, which is wrong. But I mean, I don't know. It's the world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
People quickly forget.
Okay, so that's that. Next question: should I stop training if my back is hurting?
No, is the answer.
So the short answer is it depends, but probably not.
Yeah,
if we try and
obviously it depends. I mean, it depends. Low back pain or back pain can be anything. Can't it? It can be so many things. But normally, with any injury, really, not moving or not doing anything is counterproductive.
Yeah. So if you want a nice little short take-home message, motion is lotion.
Yeah, with the back, 100%. So like you, getting up and moving around. So the thing is, everything stiffens up the more you sit down. So if you just think, oh fucking, I'm in pain, I'll just sit down more. Then it's again just going against what you actually need to be doing. You need to be going for walks and getting some blood into the system and that kind of thing.
So if you can't attribute a specific kind of disease or structural issue to your lower back pain, as in like if it's just kind of appeared one day, it's probably non-specific lower back pain. And if that is the case, then you should definitely still be training.
Yeah, and just train around it. Like, don't fucking go and do 5x5 conventional deadlift. But you know what I mean? Like, just do some core work, some upper body work, some like machines and that kind of thing, where your core's kind of fixed in place. You can leg press. You can still train pretty well.
And like, and ironically, if you then strengthening and kind of mobilising the area, that will bulletproof you from future injury in that area.
Yeah. So things that ultimately that cause lower back pain generally are like weak glutes and hamstrings, weak core, tight hip flexors. So all of those things come from a lack of physical movement and a lack of specific physical. Because like what you need to be doing is loading the posterior chain, stretching out the hip flexors and strengthening your core. You don't do any of that by sitting on the fucking sofa and watching Harry Potter.
I was just about to say a lot of those issues stem from prolonged periods of sitting. So it's almost like a vicious circle, because the more you sit, the more you rest your back, you think, oh, this is getting better. Probably actually making it worse. Yeah,
and even standing for prolonged period of times can do it as well, because the human body's very good at going into the path of least resistance. So if you're, you generally don't stand with perfect posture. So if you ever kind of adjust for a bit of comfort, you'll often put yourself in a suboptimal position. So you can't really get around it unless you fucking train. So the take-home message there, people, is train.
Yes. And if you are suffering from lower back pain and you don't really know what to do, then get in contact with me and Shep, because we obviously have plug-in rehab on our coaching team, so they can square you away. It's not like physiotherapists. You'll just go fucking tell you to, I don't know, go and shove a thumb up your arse. Rest, shove a thumb up your arse, have a wank. Right.
Might tell you to that.
Plug-in rehab, over 30 years of experience, 12 years clinical practice. They will give you the specific rehab plan that you need to get yourself back on track.
Exactly. So again, it's almost like I always use the sort of analogy of, if your fucking car was broken, you would go to a mechanic, wouldn't you? So just you being in pain and going, fucking hell, I'll YouTube this, back pain, what should I do? Like, you wouldn't do that with any other issue. It's your fucking spine, it's your physical body. It's not your car. It's more important than that. So fucking actually invest into it and actually fix it, because it's not going to fix itself. You sitting down over Christmas is going to fucking make it worse, really. So actually invest a little bit and square it away, because it's not going to sort itself out.
That's the thing. Yeah, like you said, so the car analogy is a good one. I love comparing the human body to a car.
Yeah,
because it's so transferable. But like, if the front spring went in your car, like, your car's evidently fucked and you can't drive with it, you wouldn't then just hope that it fixed itself, would you?
Yeah, I can say what I'll do. I'll leave it on the drive for a bit, let it rest.
Yeah, because there's obviously an underlying issue there, isn't there?
Yeah.
So you'd go to a specialist, i.e. a vehicle mechanic, and you'd get it fixed.
Same as your body. You go to an exercise rehabilitation instructor, or if you're fat, you come to me and Eddie.
Yeah, particularly me, because I used to be fat, so I can relate to you.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been fat, unfortunately. I don't have that niche. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So yeah, the long and the short of it is, kind of, unless you can specifically pinpoint your injury to a particular disease or kind of structural issue,
catastrophic thing, like
catastrophic kind of trauma, then you probably still should be training around the issue at least.
Yeah, and you can always train around an issue. I won't have it. These people, a lot of people I come into contact with will stop any form of physical activity because their fucking ankle hurts or whatever it is, mate. But like, even if you're hobbling around the gym, you can fucking do something.
100%.
Because it's just about being a little bit creative with it and not using it as an excuse.
So I don't know this guy's name, but you probably might know his name because you're a bit more clued up on kind of like fit-fluence. What do they call, like fit-fluencers?
I don't know. Yeah, go on.
Fitness influencers is what I mean. That guy who's kind of like I think he got one leg.
Oh, I don't know his name. Yeah,
you know the guy I'm on about.
He's a black guy who's like he's from London, I think. He trains at Wit Fitness a lot, so he'll be on their Instagram.
And he's doing Olympic lifts with one leg.
Mate, he does like heavy power cleans with one leg. It's insane.
So if he's training, right, and you've wrapped your tits in,
yeah,
because you've got a sore lower back, have a long hard look in the mirror.
He's doing like proper row and burpee workouts with one fucking leg, mate. It's insane.
There's another guy. there's another woman actually that I think Mirrorfit sponsor who's only got one
Yeah,
arm,
I've seen,
and she's doing Olympic lifts with bands.
Yeah, it's hoofing. So there's a guy called Ben Wadham I was talking to you about the other day. He's a veteran, and he trains veterans who've had like trauma, so who've had like one leg or one arm or whatever, and he fucking does a super good job of getting them to do like rows and like just really making them feel effectively like they're fucking normal again, which is so sick, man. It's like they walk around their entire life probably getting treated differently, obviously having to adapt things and hopefully they can go to the gym and for that hour feel like they're fucking semi-normal again, which is so good, man.
Yeah, that's so good. That's the kind of positivity that we need.
Yeah.
Not fucking Bevo.
Exactly.
Scranning fucking potatoes incorrectly. How can you not eat a potato properly?
Yeah. Oh, you did show me that one.
My
actually.
man is doing fucking heavy power cleans with one leg, and Bevo can't scran a fucking potato correctly.
Yeah, so we were talking about this, the fucking variance in human capability.
It's mental.
It's madness. I was talking about this with Eddie before in Malaga actually last weekend. We're having a conversation, but like I saw this woman, right, who got out of a car from like this long office job shift, whatever, was going into Tesco to buy shock ultra processed food. She was overweight and she could barely fucking walk, right? So I was thinking, I'd just seen a reel on like Instagram with these CrossFitters who are doing like mad, heavy Olympic lifts and then going and crashing themselves on a run. Like the capability their body has, which is a human body, the same as hers, right? But she's just fucking wrapped on her body, right? And she can't do fuck all. She can barely walk. And these CrossFitters can do almost anything you ask them to do. It's just insane, like, variance in terms. Obviously, there's genetic variance, I get that. But also, it's pretty much mostly the fact that they've done a certain amount to get themselves to that point. She's not done a certain amount to get herself to that point. So it's almost like inputs and outputs, isn't it?
And then it gets to a certain point where kind of like your mental, the voice in your head is then is kind of reaffirming what it's telling itself almost. So it's like it comes down to self-talk.
Self-story, yeah, 100%.
Self-talk. So like you said, the guys who are smashing CrossFit, like I'm actually pretty good at this. Like I've got this squared away. I'll keep doing it. Whereas the opposite is happening for that woman, where she's saying, "Oh, I'm in pain. I need to stop moving. Oh, this, I can't train because it's going to make my hips hurt." And that's like a vicious circle, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, also the longer you leave it and the more dysfunctional you become, the harder it is to start. If you are just about getting 5 pounds out overweight and you then start, that's cool. But if you're 50 pounds overweight, it's fucking nails to start because that every gym session you do is going to be horrendous. It's like I was yomping yesterday with, what does I have? Say like 15 kilos or something. 15 kilos extra body weight, which fucking hurts after a while, right? So I'm 76 kilos. That was taking me to what? Your body weight, basically, like 92.
Yeah.
So like
that's good, isn't
it? So like 92 kegs. Obviously, when I'm used to 75. So like that was nails after walking around for 4 hours. So that's a mad thing considering like if you put on 100 pounds extra, and obviously your knees right are the same size. Get that? That's mental, Like really fat people, yeah. Really people who are massive. Their joints are the fucking same size as yours.
That's much like when you see an X-ray of like a really like morbidly obese person, and you can just see they have the same skeleton as us.
Yeah, well, your fucking knee joint doesn't get any bigger.
Mental, and it's like when you deconstruct it like that, it puts into perspective how much strain their body's under. Yeah,
and there must be studies on that, but like, it's mad, and that's the whole reason why excess body fat is obviously one of the number one issues you can, and because it's in your control as well.
Yeah, and so bringing it back to kind of non-specific lower back pain, it's also one of the leading causes of that. So
shock.
If you're carrying around a lot of excess weight,
my back's hurting from yesterday.
A lot, and a lot of your lower back normally kind of shoulders a lot of that kind of load. So it's no surprise really that if you're carrying more weight than you should, eventually your back's going to be feeling it.
Yeah, and it is like one of us, like a fit and healthy person putting on a 20 kilo weight vest and going about your day. It's fucking terrible.
Same as you yesterday, Yomping.
Exactly.
Like you're carrying around more weight than you need to for a day,
and
your back's hanging out.
Of course it is. And again, I'm fairly physically fit, so if you're not, and you haven't got the muscles and the structure to support that, then you're going to be fucked. We'll move on anyway. We've gobbed off loads.
Yeah, we gobbed off loads about that. But in short, basically, unless you really fucked and you've been in kind of like a serious kind of spinal incident, then you can definitely at least train around it and probably keep training that area to strengthen it.
Yes, agreed. Next,
so we kind of covered this. So someone asked, how has social media affected gym culture? Is it a net positive or negative?
Okay, let's cover it quickly.
So I've made a little table so we can streamline this.
Of course, yeah.
A little beta test there.
Yeah.
So I've come up with 2 main positives and 2 main negatives.
Okay, go on.
And we can decide whether the positives outweigh the negatives or vice versa.
Yep.
So as far as positives go, I've got community, as in it's now easy for people to find their tribe.
True.
And I've got, it's a bit selfish, business. For creators and coaches, social media has literally revolutionised how you can approach your job.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, negatives?
Negatives, unrealistic expectations. Social media has placed greater emphasis on the aesthetic of fitness more than ever before because it's a predominantly visually driven media format. And secondly to that, misinformation. So every man and his dog now has a platform to voice their opinion, but you've got to take it with a pinch of salt because there are a lot of unqualified people out there.
Yeah, okay, true. But I think both of those negatives you could frame as positives.
Yeah, 100%.
So like the misinformation thing, obviously you can't frame that as positive, but you've also got the other side of the social media dial, which is good information. So there's a lot of people who point out very, very good. So like before all that, you'd have to have a coach or have to have some sort of education externally to get to grips with whether you're doing something right, whether your form's right, whether you're in a calorie deficit because you need to be or whatever it is. Now you can just go on Instagram and be like, I don't know, follow a decent coach who's got a good accreditation and listen to what they say, and that is such an easy, low barrier to entry. Like everything now is on the internet.
So does this not emphasise what we've said more than ever, that it's predominantly about your agency as an individual, and you have to create the kind of information that you want to expose yourself to?
Yeah, it's mad, right? Because in the actual physical world, you can't really do that. You can change your environment up to a point, but there's limitations there, right? You can't just fucking move somewhere off the bat. On the internet, you absolutely can change your environment immediately.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, because you got to think how much time you spend in your digital world and in your physical world. It's probably fucking equal for some people, right? And so if you're spending half your fucking life in a digital world, you need to make sure that digital world is productive and constructive towards where you want to be and how you want to feel mentally, how your self-story wants to be, all that kind of thing. So it does depend a little bit on your kind of disposition, because if some people, if they follow loads of aspirational people and Stephen Bartlett and all these people who are smashing it, some people can feel fucking hell, I'm doing nothing with my life, I'm feeling like shit. So you've got to figure out what you actually need for your own individual mental health. I like to follow people who make me feel a little bit like I'm not doing anything, because that's just how I like to do it. But some people don't like that, so you've got to find what works for you. But I think you're right, it does emphasise that a lot.
Yeah. I think you have to remember that ultimately social media is a highlight reel, and then it does create unrealistic expectations. But as long as you're aware of that and you curate the kind of information that you need specifically for you as a person, then it can actually be a real tool for good.
Yeah, 100%. And the other one, what was the other one? The other negative?
Misinformation and unrealistic expectations.
Oh yeah, sorry, unrealistic.
So they tie into each other. They overlap a bit.
Yeah, again, the unrealistic expectations thing is like comparison, thief of joy. But like again, if you know that and you can see Alex Hormozy as someone you can fucking listen to rather than someone you should try and emulate, then it's fine. Because these people, I always look at it. I think it's mad. Like, we're on a podcast, which is weird to say, but like podcasts are crazy, right? Because you can literally sit in the same fucking room as these experts in their field that you would never have any access to before. I can sit and listen to Chris Williamson, super cerebral bloke, interview like Jordan Peterson, interview fucking James Smith, all these people who I put on a pedestal who think have really, really good information, all that kind of thing. I can listen to them for 3 hours and get all their insights for free. It's fucking mad.
It is mental. And it's about if you seek out the right type of information, then you can only win.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like you said before, in the past, you'd had to have access to kind of certain environments. So like you'd have to belong to certain kind of educational facilities to access this kind of information.
But think about Matthew Walker. This guy wrote Why We Sleep. University lecturer at Berkeley. To get into Berkeley, it's fucking nailed, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's the equivalent of getting into
Harvard,
Oxbridge in the UK.
So it's insane. You have to be top sort of 0.5% of academia. Now, you can watch a 3-hour podcast with him and Joe Rogan, and you can pretty much get an idea of everything he wants to say.
Well, not even that. Like, if you can't even be asked to invest 3 hours, he did like a 25-minute concise version of his book, Why We Sleep, with Joe Wicks.
Oh, did he? Okay.
On the Joe Wicks podcast.
He also did the TED Talk as well, which is the same,
is like 10 minutes.
same kind of thing. So like you can get access to so much of these little sound bites. It's phenomenal. And so if you view it in a sort of positive way, and like we've always been saying, you know, you have agency over what you kind of consume, then it can be really, really useful. But you've got to have that ability to take sort of stock, and it's always what we kind of touch on. It's weird because all the things we come back to, it's always about not being on autopilot, and everything is about that. Really, it's about trying to be kind of cerebral about what you're consuming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we won't get too kind of matrixy on you, but there is a reason why a lot of things in society are geared towards being on autopilot, because ultimately it makes you easier to control from a governmental perspective.
Yeah.
So I don't want to turn into a conspiracy nut, but you know, try and be cerebral, try and be conscious about what you're doing. And kind of don't blindly consume social conditioning.
No, and even if you are going to consume things without much thinking, make sure they're productive.
Yes. I think that, yeah. Without going back down too much of a rabbit hole, I think that's...
yeah, and we could probably do another episode on this.
Because we could easily just do an entire episode on that. Alright, something a bit more light-hearted. This is a good one. I've been thinking a lot about this recently. What is your favourite gym track?
Track as in music?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
this changes on like a fucking weekly basis.
Yeah,
it depends what fizz I'm doing, what session I'm doing.
Yeah, so the thing I'd say about this is horses for courses.
Yeah, it's definitely. So, should we answer it in? So, if I'm going for like a max lift, the one that comes to mind initially is Old Thing Back.
Really?
Yeah, I love that. That cranks all the way up my AirPods. Fantastic. Again, depends on the mood, because I can also be partial to a bit of AC/DC in that environment. So it kind of depends if I'm feeling like my gangster era, then I'll go for Old Thing Back. And then if I'm just like doing sets, like country music is probably what I do, to be honest.
This is mad, isn't it? Your ability to work out to like country music or like 60s soul music
Anything,
blows my mind, because anything over kind of like RPE 6 for me has to be like 190 beats per minute plus.
That's mad.
It has to be kind of like Thunderstruck by AC/DC or like like Tech House or
thing
something.
Is, I kind of like I save those. So like what we do with pre-workout, similar thing. Like don't take pre-workout all year. Take it for your max sessions. I do the same with my music. I save it for like a max set, or like if I'm doing like an AMRAP set of squats. I don't want to listen to AC/DC in the entire warm up. I want to save it and have like Zach Bryan chilling out for like the whole time, and then hit myself with like Highway to Hell or something.
Yeah,
that's how I look. That's how I do. It's personal preference.
Yeah. So any kind of like gym or strength like max lifts will always be like dad rock, classic rock for me.
Eminem's one there as well.
Yeah. So and also gangster rap. So I've got a good. So I curate my entire life with soundtracks basically.
Mental.
So I've got like a gangster rap playlist and like a dad rock playlist that are good to go for like
anything, pretty much.
Good to go for anything, and especially good to go for like 1 rep maxes. When I'm doing more cardio based stuff, I tend to listen to like dance music.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's interesting. So like
drum
when you're running or whatever.
Yeah, like drum and bass, jungle, like house, disco house.
Very interesting.
Because it's slightly less aggressive, but it's a bit more kind of like upbeat. You know what I mean?
See, I'm again really weird with that. Like when I'm doing easy sessions, I can listen to fucking anything.
Yeah, that's mental. I can't believe. So like you said, like if it's really low intensity, I can also kind of listen to anything. But like I said, anything over like RPE 6, mate, you can't be listening to fucking Marvin Gaye while you're like trying to bench. That's meant. How that's going to get you in the zone? Like,
yeah, sometimes I need like these things. Sometimes I don't need to be in the zone. Sometimes I do. It's like when I'm doing like a hard interval workout, then I will try and curate a little bit more of my playlist and be like, okay, I need this song now. In 3 minutes, I want this one to come on. Like definitely, because then I'm like, because there is a definite thing, a change in gear. Certainly when I'm running, when I'm thinking, okay, I'm 3 minutes into a 6 minute interval, I'm hanging. This tune drops, and I can suddenly go again, which is mad because physiologically I'm fucked. It's that extra gear you get from music, which is really, really cool. But like when I'm doing those sort of sessions, absolutely I'll cue things and I'll make sure everything's good.
So when you were heavy snatching the other day,
okay,
what were you listening to when you went for that like PR?
I think that was AC/DC. Yeah, that was like.
So
I think. That was Dirty D's actually.
That's a tune, right?
That was a song. What about your squat?
AC/DC.
Was it?
Always AC/DC. So like, Thunderstruck, like Shoot to Thrill,
Shoots through, yeah.
Back in Black, Highway to Hell. They're all good
They're
to go, mate.
fantastic
Whenever.
songs, they are.
But then,
Fucking
like,
amazing.
casting the net a bit further, like Paranoid by Black Sabbath.
Very good, yeah, very
that's good to go. If you're getting in the mood for this, is how much you go into it. Like the pre-lift kind of like nervy bit, you know, when you like getting your head, your mind like your David Goggins or something.
Yeah.
War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
Yes,
he's
true.
like a good one because like
G's you. It's like a ring walk song, that, isn't it?
yeah, 100%. Like if you need to get G'd up, like
There was another one I was thinking of then. Can't remember what it is now.
Fortunate Son's a good G up song as well.
Yes, true. But yeah, that's what I was listening to recently, and I don't know. I do like lifting again, like my sets and stuff. Like if I'm doing, sub maximal lifts and stuff. Country genuinely is sound. I don't know why. It's weird.
That's mental.
But yeah, like if I'm doing like sets of pull-ups or whatever, yeah, I'll do that. And I don't know what I listen to for. I couldn't even tell you for long runs and stuff. It's a lot of like what I'll normally do is I'll put a podcast, whatever I'm listening to. I'll put a podcast on, but then when I get bored of that, inevitably, I'll then put a playlist on. So I don't know.
I'm the same there. So let's say, for instance, you're doing a 10k run.
Yeah.
I will get a podcast of about kind of like 40, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, or like a longer podcast, but then I'll cull it at like 40, 45 minutes. And then I'll save the last 2 kilometres for like tunes. So like when you're hanging out a bit and you just need like something to kind of G you up at the end. Yeah. You know you've got that carrot.
You just need a bit of a change sometimes.
Yeah.
So don't you?
So you go through the motions, like you get kind of like the bread and butter of the run done, and then you know you've got that like 2 kilometre left carrot.
Yeah, it does all depend on your effort level though, because you cannot be going hard to a podcast because you need to be able to think about what they're saying and all that kind of thing. So I can't do audiobooks to run in because that's a bit mental.
Yeah, mate, you couldn't be doing like a speed session on the track to like Modern Wisdom, could you?
No,
like, that's completely the wrong kind of energy.
The wrong vibe. I can't even think. It really just depends because I have really like short and sweet phases with music. Really, I like listen to something loads and then something else loads. So it's whatever I'm listening to loads, I'll put on my run. Whatever, because that makes me look forward to my run as well. I'm like, I can listen to this for like this long. It's like going to be loud, and I can fucking enjoy it. You know?
I think we've said that on the podcast before. Actually, like saving podcasts that you know are going to be good for your runs is a good way to kind of hold yourself accountable to a run. Because then at least it gives you a bit of a carrot.
Because I don't really listen to podcasts in many other domains. Sometimes I do. I was talking about this the other day. Sometimes I do it when I work. Sorry, when I work this week again. To Rory Sutherland again. I had his. He had an interview with Ali Abdaal, that YouTuber. It's like a 2.5 hour thing, and I had that on while working, and you can't do that, can you?
No.
Yeah.
I basically have to work in silence.
That's mad.
I have to go to my mind palace.
A lot of people don't like words when they're working. I don't mind it.
I think it must be something to do. I think it's because it's the same part of the brain.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like I can do music because like that doesn't really kind of like interfere with the wavelengths that I'm working on. I'm not a fucking neuroscientist, so I'm not Andrew Huberman, so I haven't articulated
Huberman
that
Lab. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it does definitely depend on the podcast again, because I couldn't listen to an Andrew Huberman podcast while I was working because that's far too investment heavy. I need to listen to that and actually take stock of what he's saying. A bit more of a light-hearted one where I'm laughing at or whatever.
True. And when I say I can listen to music when I'm working, I can't listen to like
AC/DC.
Yeah, I couldn't listen to like finish with my woman because she couldn't help me with my mind. You don't.
They're probably in 5x5 back squat.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out someone's 1 rep max prediction. Yeah, you don't want that, but kind of like happy place music, so like the Beatles or something. You know, like
I did
creature comforts are good for when you're working.
Yeah,
country as well would be good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
because it's a bit more kind of like light-hearted.
Yeah,
but yeah,
good question.
Right, next. We've got to. No one even asked this, but we're gonna have to answer it because we keep getting inundated with it, and the people aren't learning.
Okay.
Can I keep running with shin splints?
Did no one asked that?
No.
Okay.
But we're gonna do it because someone out there inevitably will have shin splints, and will be trying to run it off.
No is your answer.
Or yes, if you want a stress fracture.
Yeah. Yes, if you want to keep shin splints is the answer. So shin splints are an impact injury, so it means you've given your shins too much impact for what they are conditioned to. So short of conditioning them more through strength exercises and having a little bit of time off your feet, you're not going to rehab them, because if you just continue to smash them, it'd be like, I think of an example. It'd be like fucking having a pec tear and continue to bench or something. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Like,
or like going back to the car analogy,
yeah.
having a flat tyre and then continuing to drive with a flat tyre under the impression that somehow it will reinflate itself if you keep driving.
Yeah, exactly. What you need to be doing with shin splints is just rehabbing it. And so you need to take time off running, and that doesn't mean you stop training. Again, like we've said, you can do bike, you can do row, you can swim, you can do ski erg, shitloads of stuff you can do with shin splints. And don't give me like you can't fucking, I don't know, row, because and who cares? Do a bike, right? So there's something you can do to get your cardio in still. Outside of that, do a good rehab plan. Either get one sent to you or just do Soleus raise and fucking Tib raise a load of times a week.
Yeah.
And loads of balance work.
So we've informally over the past year kind of come up with a nice little 3S solution to shin splints, haven't we? We've got the stop,
3-pronged attack.
Stop, as in stop running. Switch to low impact cardio, like you said, so like C2 equipment or fucking swimming or something. Yeah. And then strengthen, as in
that's your rehab plan.
Rehab plan, build it back up stronger so you don't get shin splints again.
Yeah, and balance is a big one, because balance is obviously proprioception, so it's like your body's ability to know where it is in time and space. So like you often shin splints comes from an inversion of the ankle, so your foot rolling in when it's not supposed to when you're running. So your balanced on one leg is super important to handle that. But you can't almost just be standing on one leg, because that's not enough. Sometimes you've got to do plyometrics on a single leg to get that. You've got to do strength exercise on single leg to get the balance. So there's loads of shit you can do, but ultimately it comes down to strengthening your lower limbs and up the chain a little bit as well into like hips and glutes.
Yes. And if you don't know where to start, and if that wasn't enough for you, then reach out to one of us, because we can give you a rehab plan for shin splints.
Yeah, specifically that was used in Headycore and worked for like 99% of the population. So it'll work for you.
Exactly.
Provided you stick to it, as anything.
Right, that's shin splints dealt with again for a month or so.
For
anyway.
A few weeks. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Next question: is taking any type of multivitamins worth it?
I'd be lying if I said I take any, to be honest.
So again, I'm not a nutritionist. Well, I'm not a qualified nutritionist anyway. So don't take my word for it. But the best frame of reference I have for this was Tim Spector.
Okay.
Our mate Tim Spector.
Yeah. Mixed reviews.
Who we know he's a controversial figure, but he did write quite a convincing chapter on it in his book, Spoon Fed. So if you don't know who Tim Spector is, he's kind of like a genetic epidemiologist, and he's like a professor at kind of like University College London, I think. Yeah. He's quite a big figure in like nutrition and like public health. Basically, he says multivitamins and kind of any type of like vitamin supplementation to a certain extent are a bit bollocks.
Yeah, I think multivitamin maybe more so if you because there's a lot of stuff you probably don't need.
Exactly, it's kind of like
you can get from your diet.
It's kind of like jack of all trades, master of none, and he comes at it from the perspective of it would actually be much more beneficial if you just concentrate on eating a diverse array of kind of whole, fresh foods, lots of kind of different brightly coloured vegetables. That is a much better way to get your vitamins in than kind of taking a shitty little tablet once a day. Yeah,
and it's often used as a cop-out to like, I don't need to eat any fruit and vegetables because I've got my multivitamin. It doesn't really work like that. Fruits and veggies have a far more of a purpose than just getting some vitamins in. They have loads more functions, right? So it's not about just having that as a stopgap. What you should do, I think good advice is to have a vitamin C and a vitamin D supplement, because those two you can't really get vitamin D from your diet. First of all, vitamin C you would have to have like 4 million oranges to get your kind of your kind of quota, and so having a supplement that does that for you is great. And then vitamin D, certainly if you're in the winter in England, obviously we get no fucking sunlight, so getting vitamin D in is fantastic.
Vitamin D is a weird one, right? Because the body can actually produce it itself, assuming it gets enough UV exposure.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah.
So it's not really a vitamin, is it? It's like a hormone.
Yeah, I guess so.
Sorry, we're getting bogged down in semantics now.
Yeah, I think so. Vitamin D, because again,
in an ideal world, we would have enough sunlight in the UK, and you wouldn't need to supplement vitamin D intake, but we don't.
Supposedly, though, because it can be obviously fairly risky. So if you someone who wants to get all your vitamin D from the sun, you have to then go through the kind of risk of getting fucking skin cancer effectively, don't you? Which you have to get effectively loads and loads of sunlight. And so often people in really, really sun-rich environments like Australia are still vitamin D deficient because they spend loads of time inside, away from the sun. So, like, ironically, sometimes even if you live somewhere where sunlight is accessible, which we don't, you can still get a vitamin D deficiency. So it makes sense to take it anyway, all the way through the year if you're in the UK, and probably if you're in different parts of the world, maybe just in the winter.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if I didn't have some form of vitamin D deficiency.
Do you take it?
No, I should do.
Yeah, I don't either. I
really think I should. And like we're pretty on it with like.
Yeah, we could probably do better with supplementation. In fairness, like I definitely could. I do creatine and religiously. I do creatine, electrolytes, and protein. But outside of that, I don't.
They're kind of our like holy trinity of supplements, aren't they? So like protein powder, obviously, just because it's a very convenient and quick way to get extra protein in.
Yeah.
Creatine, because now studies show that basically everyone should be on creatine, even if you're not training. Like
telling my mum the other day,
even if you're not
fucking creatine,
even if you're not training, creatine is great for cognitive function. So
yeah,
even
and just general well-being,
and you can't really take too much of it. I mean, take that with a pinch of salt because you obviously can.
If you're super frail, 3 grams is actually enough. If you train a little bit, 5 grams. If you train loads, and you got decent muscle mass, upwards of like 10.
Yeah,
basically.
Actually, Dr. Ash Cox, again, from Plugin Rehab, did a good reel on this. So if you go on Plugin's Instagram page and scroll through, you'll find it, because he's kind of like Rain Man when it comes to
anything, really.
When it comes to sports science research and the latest kind of findings. So he's clued up on all that. But basically, in layman's terms, take creatine, and you can't really take too much.
Yeah, and so effectively, with our supplementation, what I should probably, I think, have or add to my stack, if you like, is vitamin D and C, what I've just said, that I don't do. Vitamin D and C and beta-alanine, I think I should probably add in, because I don't do that. It's a lactic acid buffer, and it just allows you to push your workouts slightly harder and get more from.
Yeah, but as far as multivitamins go, you've got to remember it's kind of like jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
You'd actually be much better kind of concentrating your time and energy into eating kind of like a balanced, varied diet with lots of brightly coloured fruit and vegetables, instead of taking this pill once a day. It's a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah, eat the rainbow.
Feed the rainbow.
Yeah.
Feel that Skittles, isn't it? Don't eat Skittles.
Don't eat Skittles to get your micros in.
Again, I'm not a nutritionist, but eating your Skittles will not add much to getting your multivitamins
Probably the wrong time of year to start talking about nutrition, isn't it?
Yeah,
everyone's going into the Christmas period.
Everyone's on the Christmas wrap.
Yeah. Your favourite topic.
Yeah.
What's
we'll
the
touch on that in Nether Zone.
Yeah, what's the next question?
That's it.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty. We gave some good advice there, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty constructive, that one.
Pretty constructive.
Yeah.
We can
less silly than
I've been
some
sensible.
Yeah, that's mad.
That's mad.
I wonder if you can finish with you being sensible.
Well,
We'll see.
that's good, because I've just forgotten my underrated overrated as well.
Fantastic. Well, I'll go first.
It's either underrated
You've charmed me.
or it's overrated.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
So underrated, overrated.
Yeah, if you could gob off for a while so I can jog my memory, that would be great.
Yeah, so you won't be listening for this portion. I'll say what I want. Underrated, overrated. This is poignant from yesterday. Rooking.
Ooh. From the perspective of what? General fitness.
Well, just in general, as in like just as a thing. But like, yeah, I think to make my point, to make my case for it, I guess it's very easy zone 2 because you're pretty much there already without running. It's pretty good headspace in terms of like because you're not running, you can do it for a long period of time, and you can get out and get into nature, and you can obviously it lends itself to going into picturesque parts of the world and doing it there. It's a little bit of depending on how heavy you go and how long you take it, it's a little bit of like a challenge thing. Every kind of, it's uncomfortable, and it's consistently the same amount of discomfort. It's not like a speed session where, it is uncomfortable, but actually it's fucking over in 5 minutes. It's like, that's like 100% uncomfortable, but it's over quickly. This is like 60% uncomfortable, but it's there forever. And like what I was saying yesterday, I was thinking, so yesterday I did the fan dance, which is like this SF test. Like you go over penny fan to a turnaround point and back, basically. On the way back yesterday, I was telling Eddie before, I have the worst cramp ever. And I was literally like, I can't really move my legs here. But in the same vein, I had some weight on, but same vein, I was like, well, no one's actually going to do this for me. Like, my car is over that hill, right? And that's where the heated seats are, fundamentally. I'm like about 6k away. I can't really ring an Uber and get him to take me to my car. So despite what my legs feel like, 'cause there's nothing you can do about cramping, no matter how like mentally strong you are. You just you're fucked. I was like, it was as if you imagine, from my hip to my ankle was cast, or like strong cast, and I had to like just move from the hip
That's
up this hill.
mental,
It
yeah.
was mental, mate. But like, it's that sort of putting yourself in a position where you have to get over the barrier you've put yourself in. I think it's valuable.
Yeah, 100%. So if I weighed in with my opinion now, I echo what you've just said, basically.
Yeah.
I think particularly like you were talking about there, from a mental perspective,
Yeah.
it is a great way to build mental resilience in the same way that a lot of other types of exercise potentially aren't.
Yeah, so we were talking about in the car actually, like a hard CrossFit or a hard high rock session, you can just slow down. But even if you slow down with a heavy bag on, you're still in pain. Like there's still that level of discomfort. So I think it is quite a valuable thing, and maybe like once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on your training and stuff. You don't even have to view it as a training session, really. Just chuck some weight in a bag and like just go and walk for a bit.
Yeah, so like basically, if you go for a hike and you take like a picnic with you or whatnot, and you take some kind of basic like safety equipment or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
You are kind of inadvertently rucking then.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be heavy. Again, like depending on your level of tolerance, because I've obviously done a lot of that shit in the past. Not recently, but in the past I've done shitloads. So for me, going straight into 35 pounds wasn't too bad. But for someone else who's really unconditioned to it and never done it before, that is far too much too early. So even like 20 pounds, which again, like basic safety stores would add up to, you there.
Yeah, I think it's not underrated in military circles, obviously, because like a core component of being in the infantry or being in the military in general is rucking. But I think certainly among civilians, it's massively underrated.
No one really does it.
Well, no one does it, and then like people don't go outside enough as it is anyway. And then if they are walking, they're not walking with weight, so it's just too far removed from people's normal day-to-day life. I think.
Yeah.
But they could easily integrate it into their lifestyle, and it would be beneficial.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to the company Yomping, who actually supported the seminar a few weeks ago. But they sent me a rucksack. I didn't wear it yesterday. Jim did, but like he said, it was fucking phenomenal. Like, it's one of the best ones. Civvy rucksacks he's used, and so you'll be able to find them on Instagram. Yomp, they're just called Yomp CO. But they basically do like Go Ruck, the American company, like Go Ruck rucksacks, which are specifically designed to like wrap around your back, give yourself a decent amount of comfort and that kind of thing, not move. So if you're gonna move at speed or with any decent weight, it's really useful. Get them on.
That's good. I'd like to think that they know what they're doing as well.
Yeah, it's a bootneck led company.
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
a British company.
Yeah,
Former bootnecks. If you're into that kind of thing, go and buy one of their bags.
yeah. Again, I hadn't used it before, so I didn't want to give a dishonest review. So I have now. So
Yeah, sweet. So overall, then I think rucking or yomping or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
tabbing,
yeah,
is underrated.
I think it is certainly in civvy circles, like you say. Have you remembered yours yet?
I have.
Good.
Which is good. You gobbing off for 2 minutes did me the world of good. 'Cause
Fantastic.
it jogged my memory. Right, okay, so underrated, overrated, winter breaks,
How do you mean?
as in a little kind of weekend away.
Oh,
Not as
fucking-
in the Premier League winter break.
Oh yeah, fuck that. Yeah, underrated massively. And the thing is,
So I was thinking about this, right? Everyone goes on holiday at like the height of summer,
yeah,
and they'll go to like Spain or Italy, which ironically is when all the locals are fucking not leaving their house because it's so hot.
yeah,
So you walk round, it's like basically 40 degrees. It's too hot for people from the UK. Let's be honest.
yeah. And also, there's always sod's law when you go away. At home, it's redders.
Yeah. So you're missing out on a rare bit of UK sun. You're going to somewhere that's quite literally too hot to exist there at that current moment in time because all the locals have wrapped.
Yeah.
Because they know it's too hot to function.
Yeah.
You spend most of your holiday persisting through this heat, even though deep down you know it's too hot. And then when it comes to the winter time in the UK and the weather's shit and we're all moaning about it, no one actually tries to escape.
Yeah, it's mad right as well because it's cheap as fuck.
I was thinking about this the other day. I've never really given it much thought.
Yeah, you're saying.
Why isn't it normalised that people go away in UK winter time?
Yeah. Also, weekends are fantastic. Like if you work a normal job, you take 2 days leave and you got a 4-day break there. Sound. Whereas you got to take in the summer, you got to take 7-10 days off. But like, it was our flights to Malaga. My flights to Malaga were last week, £66.
Mine, yeah,
That's insane.
because I booked mine about a month before yours. Mine was £52 return
That's mad.
to Malaga, and their accommodation was piss cheap as well. Again, because no one's there.
Yeah. It's insane. So like, you can go very inexpensively, and like you say, get a little bit of sun. I'm talking about vitamin D exposure as well. Like, again, now even if you get outside when it's daylight, there's fucking no sun. There's no UV rays. Getting over there, it's like it's bearable. Like, it's 16 to 20 degrees maybe, and it's like you can actually spend time in the sun and not feel like it's too hot.
And not only
great.
that, because it's still pretty warm over there at that time of year, their race calendar runs all the way through winter. So in the UK, a lot of people run out of stuff to train for at this time of year because all the races are basically kind of kiboshed until like February. In Malaga, so like in Spain, in Italy, you can still join races. So not only do you get a bit of vitamin D exposure in the winter, but you can still train for something.
Yeah, true. Which obviously keeps everyone motivated and stuff. And like, yes, have a look at abroad for your races, because again, that gives you an excuse to go away as well. You're not just going there for like a bit of sun.
Yeah, exactly. And we found the right balance. So like on the so we were there for a long weekend. We allocated Friday night basically to getting pissed.
Yeah.
Then we had like a bit of a wholesome day Saturday recovering. Sunday morning we did the run. And then Sunday afternoon, before we flew back on Monday morning, we just had a few beers and chilled out.
It's actually really ideal, wasn't it?
So we got a bit of everything that you would want in kind of a
true.
break. We kind of allocated a day to each thing. It was perfect.
Yeah, because that run as well was like so comparing it again to yesterday, which wasn't comfortable and was shit fucking weather and shit terrain, right? So like last week in Malaga, everything was flat, blue skies, 17 degrees, fucking perfect weather. And like really nice run, really nice race. Yesterday, Clag was in, dark, raining and windy, fucking terrible. So like, it was a massive like dichotomy of conditions. But it's so ideal doing that Malaga half, isn't it? Like, you couldn't have really asked for a better condition.
No, it was perfect. Like, it's all flat, the sun's out, it's early in the morning, so you're not hanging around all day.
That's true as well. Like, you were done by 10:30.
It's class. And like, it just goes back to my point. Why isn't everyone going for a bit of winter sun?
Yeah,
I don't get it. We all hate UK winter. Let's not beat around the bush. It's shit. So why aren't we going to Malaga for a long weekend when flights are £50 return?
Yeah, like Tenerife and everything, like cheap as fuck as well. Like, and that's hot
Instead of
this time of year.
And then what's the alternative to that? You go away in July when it's like mid-20s in the UK anyway.
You spend more.
You spend 3 times as much because everyone else is also trying to get away.
You miss UK summer.
You
It's
miss
actually decent.
You miss the UK summer, which is actually decent vibes if you're in the right place.
Yeah.
And you go to somewhere where even the locals think it's too fucking hot, and they've adapted to live in that climate.
Yeah, that's insane. You've
If you deconstruct that, that's mental.
yeah, you've nailed it there. Underrated. I think that's mad. It's like Tenerife and places like that are ideal this time of year as well. So like the one of the reasons we're going to Texas as well is because it's about 16 to 20 degrees in January. So when you pass New Year, it's gash, right?
Blue Monday.
It's shit,
the most
isn't it?
depressing Monday of the year.
It's like a 17-week month, right? And it's like, it never fucking ends.
You've got no money.
Yeah.
You can't use the Christmas wrap as an excuse anymore. So you actually have to get your shit squared away.
And the weather is toilet, for want of a better word.
And you've got nothing to look forward to because it's the start of the year and most of your plans are kind of like Easter onwards.
So that's the reason we took it upon ourselves, and we are lucky in a position to do it. Like the 4th to the 18th, the first 6 weeks of the year, which are the shittest, are going to be exciting for us. We're in a new place and all that kind of stuff. So
use that as a bit of a springboard to build some momentum to then take us on to whatever the rest of the year holds.
So if you haven't gone away for winter sun yet, book something in for fucking January because it's shit.
Because again,
it gives you something to look forward to.
And it will probably be even cheaper than December.
Yeah, probably. So like, just I searched this morning. Guess when? So the fan dance is a race, like an actual organised event thing for civvies. Guess when the winter one is? So there's a winter one and a summer one. It's the 5th of January.
That's stinking. That's shocking. That you've got to be fucking built different to do that on the 5th of Jan.
It's mad. Like you get these, there's that saying, civvies pay thousands for this. You get these civvies who do like all of them. There's like I think there's a commando one. I've not heard of it, but I think there's a commando course civvy race. There's the Para 10, which is like the Para's 10 miler with a certain amount of weight, and there's this fan dance. I think there's civvies that are just have like a massive affinity towards the military and do them all.
That's
mad.
mental. Head to toe in through dark, no doubt.
Yeah, well, heads down camo for sure.
Mate, I could create the starter pack of the individual that does those kind of events off the top of my head now.
Yeah, same. Civvies Commando t-shirt, like
Yeah.
Yeah. Just been to a weekend.
Follow certain individuals on Instagram.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a very good point. I think. Yeah, it's winter sun and rooking. Maybe combine them.
Fly yourself to Tenerife and rook around the volcanic island.
Fantastic idea. That'd be great.
That would be
I'd
good.
enjoy that.
Yeah. So getting a bit of winter sun, underrated.
Yeah. Have we got a reason to be cheerful?
We have got a reason to be cheerful. I want to throw this on you, but I think it's valid.
Reasons to be cheerful.
Go on.
This feeds into my Liverpool bias, but I don't think neutrals can really argue with it. So, Kenny Dalglish has been awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award by BBC at Sports Personality of the Year.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't think King Kenny gets the respect he deserves now, because he's a bit dated. He's in his 70s now.
Yeah. I mean, he was phenomenal back in his day.
He is Mr. Liverpool. So,
Yeah,
if you're a Liverpool fan, you'll know who Kenny Dalglish is. If you're not, and you're a bit of a younger listener, so Kenny Dalglish joined Liverpool, I think, in 1977. He was there through the heyday of like the 80s when they won everything. He then became player manager, I think, in like the mid 80s, and then won a few more league titles with them. Then he was manager when the Hillsborough disaster happened.
Yeah.
So he
navigated that.
He navigated the club all the way through that. He basically went to every funeral of the people that died at Hillsborough, which is mental, while he's still doing his job as Liverpool manager. And then since he left the club, he then went on to manage Blackburn, and he won like the Premier League in '95 with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That lifetime achievement then probably makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then ever since he's been at the club, obviously, since he retired as a manager, he came back, didn't he, in 2011?
He did come back in a weird little
when
redemption arc.
when fucking Roy Hodgson wrapped his chebs in.
Yeah,
and
that
they
was
were
when Liverpool was shit on it.
Yeah, that was really shit, and he still won the League Cup with them.
That's
when
class.
they had an absolutely toilet team.
Yeah, and they were in the fucking trenches then, weren't they?
But so he won 8 league titles and 3 European Cups as a player and a manager with Liverpool.
That's fucking mad.
That's mental.
Yeah, that's class. That's class.
That put some respect on my man's name.
Yeah, that's a good little reason to cheer for. I didn't know about that he won that actually.
Yeah, so I think they award one Lifetime Achievement Award every year, and he got it this year.
Yeah,
it's pretty valid, that, isn't it?
It's pretty good going, to be fair.
But yeah, that is the end of the podcast.
That is all from us.
Not bad for a cuffed one again.
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
We
pretty
gave
good
some good. So we obviously. I think we tore into our friend Bevo at the start a bit, saying that he doesn't really provide much value
on the internet,
and we've counteracted that by providing over an hour's worth of value.
Exactly. So you're welcome, listeners. What you can do to repay us now is just hit that fucking subscribe button, get us to 1,000 on YouTube.
Honestly, we're so close now. It's like eking this out now. It's taking the piss.
I know. So if you're listening on Spotify, go over to YouTube. Even if you don't watch on YouTube, subscribe, because it's not costing you nothing, right? And it gets us to 1,000, which is a cool number.
Exactly. And we've sat here every week this year and put out an episode basically since what? The start of February.
What did we say? Like 40?
We're not mid-40s by the end of the year episode.
Hours? What was it?
Over 45 hours of podcasting.
Yeah, 47 now.
That's mental.
Yeah, that's fucking mad.
Not to blow smoke up our own arse.
That's that's a full working week sat here podcasting. That's just recording as well. Obviously got the admin stuff.
We've got hours and hours. You'll probably triple that, because then you've got editing and scheduling and stuff.
At the start, figuring out how to fucking use everything.
Yeah, that was... Put that down as teething time.
Yeah, TT.
But yeah, so what's next week?
Done.
We don't know, do we?
What is the date next week? It's fucking Christmas.
It's Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, yeah, it is.
It's the Christmas Day episode.
Christmas Day special.
So what did we say?
Yeah, we'll discuss this off there.
Yeah, because we don't have a plan.
Yeah,
and
you do
know that.
Okay.
Yeah, so on that seismic note, we will love you and leave you.
Subscribe.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!